Well, hey everyone, I'm Bart.
And I'm Stacy.
And we are
the Sound Couple.
Hey, today we're going to talk about some road cases and cables and everything we carry as far as the equipment we need to hook up the gear. And it's kind of a story, Stacy. It's been an evolution of sorts. Prior to you...
and yes, there was a time when it wasn't me.
A few years prior to Stacy. We used to carry, or I used to carry, road cases, and with the big wheels and covers. And I had one gigantic one, I had smaller mediums, and they were on casters, and we'd push them around. I'd have a cable bin for XLRs, I'd have a cable bin for speaker cables, I had a cable bin for extension cords, the list went on and on. Once Stacy came on board, and once the gear started getting smaller, more modular, and we started scaling back, we figured there had to be a better way. Well, the first thing we did is we went, okay, this is ridiculous bringing all these big road cases. It's not happening. So we decided that we're going to start picking through the cases and grabbing the cables we needed and putting them into a smaller case. That worked out okay, but it was time consuming, and we would forget things that we needed at the gig, and we'd show up and it's like, oh crap, we didn't bring that cable. Okay, so that didn't work out as a great long-term solution. So then we got Mr. Rubbermaid here.
Yeah.
And Mr. Rubbermaid solved a lot of our problems. First of all, it was big enough to fit 90% of what we needed. And we just threw everything in here. Extension cords, the XLR cables, power strips, everything we needed all fit in here. And this, Stacy and I could kind of lug around, but it was still extremely heavy. So we knew there had to be another better way. That's when Stacy introduced one of these, the Rubbermaid Roughnecks. And these are lightweight, they're compact, they're easy to carry for one person. So now what we do is, this is it, guys. This is like 95%
Yes, sure.
or more of our shows all fit in here with all of this here. And this we still carry in the truck, but it is our overflow for the times we need a couple cables here and there. So with that, this is what works for us today. It's not pretty, it's not glamorous, but it is effective and the easiest way that we have found to get all the cables we need to the gigs we do. So next, I'm going to turn it over to Stacy, and she's going to show you how this all works.
A brief overview of what we carry. We have our speaker cables. We have extension cords, power cords, XLR, and power IC cables, and Ethernet, of course. And again, they all fit in these 3 boxes, and there is a method to our organization. Adding to our 3 totes here, we also have a lighting bag. Includes all of the cables we need to pull off a light show. In the short blue one, we have our front of house main cables. In the next one, which is orange, and you will see why this one is orange as well, we have our system cables, XLR, IEC cables, anything else related to being able to hook up monitors and other main parts. And finally in this one, we have our staging cables. Everything we need, XLR, power to run for the stage. Back to our front of house mains container, we have our PowerCon power runs, and then we have a variety of PowerCon and XLR combo packs. And we have enough to be able to do long runs, short runs, and the combinations, whether we use all 4 speakers or just a set of 2 speakers, however, whatever configuration we do. Also in this one, and this is the one that Bart and I have kind of gone back and forth about, is the 50-foot XLR. You may notice a couple other random things in here, and these are our short, trusty speaker poles, which come in very handy. And then we also happen to just carry the kick drum and the hi-hat mic attachment, simply because it doesn't fit in the other bin. And it's just, since we always have the front of house mains bin, it's easy enough. The other 2 things we end up carrying in here is, of course, a black fitted sheet, and then we just happen to throw our gaff tape in. And then the other little tip, do write your company name in, because you never know who's going to be walking away with this. Onto our system cable box. Notice that it's orange so that we know that all of the cables that are orange belong into this, so if anyone's ever helping us out, that works out great. Another thing that I have done in this particular lid is labeled some links so that you will notice that each cable's end has a particular color code, so I or anyone else who happens to be helping us can very quickly identify. Just being able to visually see this is what I need works great. We have our IEC cables for our monitor speakers, from the biggest, longest runs to the shortest. We have Ethernet cables for hooking up our stage boxes. And then we also have the XLR runs that we also need to be able to connect the monitors. The last thing that we carry in here is a outlet stringer, which is super handy, especially going across the front of the stage for when we use the monitors. Another one done. In our staging box, we have the power and XLRs that are needed to run for stage. We have the wonderful power strips. We have our main power strips. We always seem to use those just for the mains. And then we have various lengths of XLRs ranging from 40 feet, 25, all the way on down to small runs. And then, of course, extension cords here. And then finally, we also have 3 special snakes, I guess you could call it. We have our 8-channel drum snake. We have a 2-channel run, which typically we end up using for keys. And then this multicolored one is affectionately known as our horn snake, because we seem to work with a lot of horn bands, which have up to 4 different horns, and that comes in very handy. Look, Bart, it all fits here much nicer when you organize it all. That's not always the case on big days, is it? Our lighting bag, this is everything we need for a lighting show. Amazing. Our IEC cables, we have 25 feet, which is nice because then we don't have to run it with an extension cord, all the way down to some real shorties. Our DMX cables, which are on the shorter side. And then these are our brackets that we use to hang our blizzards. And the other few things that we also carry in this bag, these are the scrims. And then finally, we have just some extra power adapters, because every now and again you need them. And it's just handier than going into the toolbox, as well as this handy guy. And yes, this really doesn't apply to the lights per se, because this is actually what we use to extend for the monitor base, but since we're always usually putting up the lights, it's just handy to have in there. Wish we could pack up a show that quick in real life and in that neat a time. And finally, we've made it to the big tub, which is now affectionately known as the emergency tub. This one, he stays in the van all the time. It carries up to 100-foot lengths of extension cords, as well as other sizes, and also other runs of XLR and XLR snakes. We also carry extra black sheets, as well as power strips. This is it, folks. These are all the cases that are needed to fit all the cables that power our shows. We like to pride ourselves on the compactness and efficiency that this brings to the sound couple. Please share in the comments, what do you do? And until next time, we'll see you at the gig.